The autumn sun sank low, casting long shadows across the cracked city streets. At Officer Reed Malloy's side walked Rex, his aging German Shepherd partner. His once proud stride now carried a limp, a battle scar from years of service. Each step echoed not just duty, but pain. Reed glanced down, his voice soft. "Almost home, old boy, just one more week." Rex's ears flicked, his graying muzzle lifting as if he understood. But in the silence of twilight, they weren't alone. From the edge of the alley, faint footsteps matched theirs. A shape moved, small, uneven, and persistent. Reed dismissed it as city noise, but Rex knew better. His hackles lifted, nose twitching. The veteran canine paused, eyes narrowing. A shadow lingered behind a dumpster, watching, waiting. Their patrol wasn't ending quietly, it was only beginning. And for Rex, this night would unravel a secret buried for years. Rex turned sharply, his deep growl vibrating against the pavement. From behind the dumpster, a tiny figure emerged. A pup, no more than 3 months old, scruffy fur sticking out in patches. Its right paw dragged clumsily, leaving a faint trail of dust. The little dog froze under Rex's stare, golden eyes wide but unyielding. Reed chuckled, crouching slightly. "Well, what do we have here? You lost, little guy?" But the pup didn't cower or flee. Instead, it limped forward, each step deliberate, as though it had been looking for them all along. Rex lowered his head, ears back, torn between instinct and recognition. There was something in the pup's scent, a whisper of familiarity that tugged at buried memories. Reed reached for his radio, ready to call animal control, but Rex stepped in front of him, blocking the signal. Something about this encounter wasn't random.
The next morning, Reed and Rex returned to their patrol route. The city was waking, shop shutters rattling, buses roaring past. But so was the sound of faint paws trailing behind them. Rex's ears swiveled, tail stiff. He turned, and there it was again, the same scruffy pup, weaving between cars, darting behind lampposts. Its injured paw made pursuit clumsy, yet it never lost sight of them. "Persistent little shadow," Reed muttered, sipping his coffee. He tried shooing it away. Rex barked once, a sharp warning. The pup stopped, lowered itself, but refused to retreat. It was watching Rex, always Rex, not the humans, not the world around, as though its eyes were locked on him alone. Hours passed and every corner revealed the same sight. The limping pup, never close enough to touch, but never far enough to forget. A stalker or a messenger? Rex couldn't decide. By the third day, the weather turned. Black clouds rolled in, and a cold drizzle slicked the streets. Reed pulled up his collar, glancing at Rex's slower pace. "Almost there, buddy." But then came the sound again. Tiny paws, splashing in puddles. The pup was back, soaked through, fur plastered to its frail body. Its limp seemed worse now, yet still it kept following. Reed sighed, kneeling with a towel from his patrol bag. The pup flinched at first, but its gaze never left Rex. Water dripped from its ears, and its ribs showed beneath the wet fur. "Why won't he give up?" Reed whispered, more to himself than anyone. Rex's eyes softened, something shifting in the old dog's chest. Rain hammered down, drowning the world in gray, yet the pup's persistence burned like a beacon. It wasn't following out of curiosity. It was searching for something deeper.
The next evening, as twilight bled into night, the truth revealed itself. Outside the precinct, the pup limped one final time, then faltered. Its legs buckled. With a soft whimper, it collapsed onto the concrete, trembling violently. Reed dropped his coffee, rushing forward. "No, no, hang on, little guy!" Rex barked sharply, 3 clipped notes, his emergency signal. Officers inside looked up as Reed lifted the frail body, his hands brushing against sticky fur. Blood. The pup's side was matted, hidden beneath dirt and rain. Its breathing came in shallow gasps, eyes rolling back in exhaustion. Rex nudged closer, his nose pressing against the pup's neck, inhaling deeply. His eyes widened with something Reed had never seen before: recognition. This wasn't just pity, it was connection. "We've got to move," Reed shouted, bolting for the cruiser. Rex leapt in beside him, refusing to let the pup out of sight. The sirens wailed through the night, echoing across narrow streets. Reed's knuckles whitened around the wheel, eyes darting between traffic lights and the fragile pup cradled in his lap. "Stay with me," he muttered, pressing down gently on its chest. Rex sat rigid in the back seat, ears pinned, growling low at every second wasted. His gaze never left the pup's faint rise and fall. Blood smeared Reed's uniform as he whispered, "Don't you dare quit now!" The cruiser skidded to a halt outside Dr. Megan Cole's emergency clinic. She was already at the door, gloves snapping into place. "Bring him in," she barked. Reed rushed inside, the fluorescent lights blinding after the dark streets. Rex followed, his limp nearly gone in urgency. For the first time in years, the veteran's heartbeat raced, not from danger, but from the desperate hope of saving a life.
Inside the sterile clinic, machines beeped as Megan Cole slid the pup onto a table. "He's malnourished, dehydrated, but let's scan for a chip." The wand hummed, passing over the pup's frail body. A sharp beep broke the silence. Megan frowned, pulling up the reading. This isn't normal." Reed stepped closer. The screen revealed more than an ID. "Encrypted military-grade implant," Megan muttered. "These chips were only used in classified narcotics ops years ago." Rex stiffened, his ears twitching, a low whine escaping him. Reed froze, recognition dawning. "This can't be." His voice trailed off, eyes meeting Rex's. Megan looked between them. This pup wasn't abandoned. He was placed, deliberately. Rex growled deep, a sound that wasn't just anger, it was memory. Whatever secrets lay in that tiny body, they weren't random. They were meant to be found, and meant for Rex. Reed leaned against the cold metal table, his mind racing. Years ago, the Martinez raid. His words hung heavy in the room. Rex limped closer, nostrils flaring as he pressed against the pup's side. Megan glanced up, frowning. He knows him. Reed swallowed hard. Not him, his bloodline. Images from that night resurfaced: gunfire, smoke, and Luna, their bomb detection shepherd, 8 weeks pregnant. She vanished in the chaos, presumed dead, but her body was never recovered. Reed's voice cracked. "That chip matches our old task force protocol, the same ones Luna carried." Rex's eyes glistened, chest heaving with sharp breaths. He nudged Ruger gently, as if searching for proof. The pup stirred, eyelids fluttering, his scent familiar, undeniable. A chill gripped Reed. My God, is he Luna's pup? The question lingered, trembling in the air like a ghost refusing to rest.
Ruger whimpered faintly, turning his head toward Rex. Their noses brushed, just a second's contact. But in that instant, Rex's world cracked open. The scent was unmistakable, a thread tied to a partner lost in fire and betrayal. Luna. The pup's eyes held the same spark, the same resilience, despite his battered frame. Rex let out a soft whine, his first sign of vulnerability in years. Reed caught his breath, piecing together the impossible. If Luna survived long enough to give birth, he couldn't finish. Megan placed a steady hand on his arm. If that's true, then someone raised this pup, someone with access to high-level chips. The implications were darker than the night outside. Rex pressed closer, his gray muzzle brushing Ruger's tiny head, a silent vow forming in his heart. He wouldn't lose this one. Not like before. Not again. The clinic's hum faded under Rex's growl. His ears swiveled, body tense. Reed noticed too, shadows shifting beyond the blinds. He strode to the window. Across the street, a black sedan idled under a broken lamppost. Inside, cigarette ember flared, then died. The driver didn't move, didn't leave, just watched. Reed's gut twisted. We've been made. Megan froze, eyes darting to the pup. Rex's teeth bared, the sound primal, protective. And in the dim glow of a streetlight,
The figure leaned forward. Cold blue eyes caught the light. Unmistakable. Ivan Mercer. Reed's chest tightened. So it's true. He's alive. Mercer raised a glass casually, as if to toasting them, before the sedan rolled away into the night. No chase, no words, just a promise. A storm was coming, and the target wasn't Reed, it was Ruger. And Rex knew the enemy would stop at nothing.
The precinct was quieter than usual, but not for Rex. His paws clicked softly on the tiled floor as he paced beside Ruger's recovery bed in the evidence room. Reed sat at a desk, buried in files, pulling out old case reports that smelled of dust and betrayal. The Martinez raid. Luna, he muttered. Each photograph brought memories Rex had fought to bury. Smoke-filled warehouses, shouts swallowed by gunfire. Ruger stirred, his small chest rising and falling against the blanket. Rex leaned closer, brushing his nose against the pup's head. His growl wasn't anger. It was a vow. Reed rubbed his temples, exhaustion creeping into his voice. If he's really Luna's pup, then someone kept her alive long enough to give birth. Silence hung heavy. The ghosts of a failed mission lingered in every corner, and the shadows of the precinct felt tighter than ever. Midnight draped itself across the city, but sleep wouldn't come. Rex lay stiff, ears twitching at faint noises outside. Then, footsteps, too deliberate. He padded to the window, peering through the blinds. His hackles shot up. Across the street, the same black sedan. Its engine purred, headlights dark. Smoke curled from the driver's window, glowing faint against the night. Reed joined him, jaw tightening. "Mercer," he whispered. The man leaned back, his pale blue eyes locked on the precinct. He didn't move, didn't attack. He waited, a predator watching prey. Ruger whimpered softly, sensing the tension. Rex stepped between the window and the pup, body taut like a shield. Reed dimmed the office lights, his voice grim. "He knows we've got the pup. He's not rushing. He's planning." And in that silence, the truth settled in. This wasn't just surveillance. It was a warning.
Morning brought no peace. Over stale coffee, Reed pulled up dossiers on Mercer. His jaw clenched as the man's name appeared. Ivan Mercer, ex-military canine handler turned breeder. His facility was polished on paper. Award-winning bloodline, certifications framed in gold. What whispers from narcotics painted another picture. Mercer conditioning dogs for smuggling, using them as weapons. Rex paced, nails scratching the floor, growl building as Reed read aloud. He's been under watch for years, but nothing sticks. Always too careful. Ruger tilted his head, ears twitching at the sound of Mercer's name, a faint whimper escaping. The pup knew the scent, the voice, the danger. Reed slammed the file shut. He's hiding something bigger, something Luna was caught in. Rex's eyes burned. This wasn't random fate. It was a trail, one that led straight back to Mercer's lair, and they had no choice but to follow. The office air felt heavy as Reed opened another folder, an old interview transcript. He read aloud, voice low. Mercer asked about Luna, asked if her body was recovered. Rex's growl deepened, teeth flashing. His nose twitched, memory unlocking. That same cologne, the sterile tang of dog treats, the scent that had clung to the Martinez warehouse. He had smelled Mercer there. Reed's hands trembled as he dropped the paper. He wasn't just interested, he was involved. Ruger stirred, ears perking, as if he too understood the words. Rex stepped closer, pressing his head against Reed's leg, urging him on. If Mercer wanted Luna, then he took her, used her. And Ruger? His throat closed around the thought. Ruger whimpered, nudging closer to Rex, and in that fragile moment, it became clear they weren't just protecting a pup, they were protecting Luna's legacy. The first blast shattered glass, scattering shards across the evidence room floor. Smoke hissed, rolling in thick waves. Ruger barked weakly, scrambling under the desk. Rex lunged in front of him, teeth bared, heart pounding with old fire. Reed spun, gun drawn. Shadows moved through the haze, black-clad mercenaries, masks covering their faces. "Get the pup," one shouted. Bullets punched into walls, chairs splintering. Rex leapt, jaws clamping down on a rifle arm. A scream cut through the smoke as the weapon clattered away. "Move!" Reed yelled, grabbing Rex's collar as he shielded Ruger. Chaos engulfed the precinct. The enemy wasn't subtle. This was surgical, targeted. They hadn't come for money or files. They had come for the pup. Alarms wailed, officers fired back, but Mercer's men kept advancing. And in the storm of bullets, Rex knew one thing: the past had returned to claim him. The gunfire was deafening, ricochets sparking against filing cabinets. Reed shoved a fallen chair aside, eyes locked on Ruger trembling beneath the desk. "Stay down, buddy," though the words were meant for himself too. Rex pressed his body over Ruger, growl vibrating in his chest. A shot rang out. Pain tore through Rex's shoulder, hot and blinding. He staggered but held firm. Ruger yelped, trying to crawl forward, but Rex nudged him back with a firm snout. No harm would touch the pup. Reed fired 2 rounds, dropping one assailant, then grabbed Rex's collar. "We've got to go, now." Smoke rolled thicker, choking the room. Rex forced his wounded body forward, covering Ruger every step. Bullets rained around them, but instinct, pure canine instinct, took over. This wasn't duty anymore. This was family, and Rex would bleed every drop to protect it.
Sirens wailed, officers shouting behind them as Reed kicked open the emergency exit. Cold night air rushed in. Rex stumbled out first. Ruger clamped gently in his jaws. The pup whimpered, but stayed silent, trusting. Behind them, mercenaries surged, muzzle flashes lighting the smoke. Bullets sparked against brick walls, fragments spraying like fireflies. Reed fired over his shoulder, covering their retreat. "Go, Rex, run!" The aging shepherd's body screamed with pain, but his spirit blazed. Alleyways blurred as he half-carried Ruger, his paws pounding against wet pavement. Tires squealed in the distance, headlights flashing. Mercer's backup. Shadows chased them, relentless. Every step burned, every breath rasped. Yet Rex didn't falter. The pup in his jaws wasn't just a stray. He was Luna's blood, Luna's promise. And Rex would deliver him to safety, even if it cost him his final breath. Exhaustion drove them into the forgotten edges of the city. Reed pushed open a rusted door into an abandoned storage yard. Rows of steel containers stood like sentinels in the dark. Rex squeezed through a gap, his shoulder bleeding freely now. Inside, dust thickened the air, cobwebs sagging from corners. He lowered Ruger onto a torn blanket left behind by squatters. The pup whimpered, curling against his chest. Reed shut the door, leaning against it, lungs burning. "We buy time here," he whispered, wiping blood from Rex's fur. The old canine leaned down, licking Ruger's ear softly, calming the trembling pup. Outside, footsteps echoed faintly. Mercer's men were close. But for now, the container was their sanctuary. In the silence, Rex began teaching Ruger, nose high, ears sharp, every sound a signal. This wasn't a hiding place. It was a classroom for survival.
Hours later, a shadow slipped into the yard. Rex's ears pricked, growl deepening. A figure approached slowly, hands raised. Auburn hair glinted in the moonlight. "Easy," the woman whispered. "I'm not with them anymore." Reed aimed his gun, voice sharp. "Tessa Clark, Mercer's handler." She nodded,
guilt heavy in her eyes. From her pocket, she dropped a handful of dog treats, placing them on the dirt. "I know what Ruger is. I helped train him to hate Rex." The words hit like bullets. Ruger whimpered, pressing against Rex. But then Tessa's voice cracked. "He broke it. Do you understand? He was supposed to attack you, Rex. Instead, he chose you." Reed's grip tightened on his gun, uncertain. Rex studied her scent, fear, guilt, but truth too. For the first time, Ruger stepped forward, tail low but wagging. He had already decided. Tessa sat on the ground, her voice trembling. Mercer conditioned Ruger. He wanted him to carry hate, to finish what Luna couldn't. "He fed him your scent, Rex, told him you were the enemy." Reed froze, bile rising in his throat. "But if that's true..." His voice trailed off. Ruger pressed closer to Rex, licking his muzzle as if answering the doubt. The pup had chosen love over training. Tessa's hands shook as she pulled a small vial from her pocket. "This is proof. Mercer keeps scent samples of his targets. He was building an army of dogs, broken and remade." She wiped her eyes. "Ruger isn't just a survivor. He's a miracle." Reed's heart pounded. The pup's persistence, his collapse, his refusal to let Rex out of sight, it all made sense. Ruger hadn't been following blindly. He had been fighting destiny. The container was thick with silence, broken only by Ruger's soft breathing. Reed leaned forward, gun across his lap, eyes locked on Tessa. "Talk." Her gaze flicked to Rex, then to the trembling pup pressed against him. "Mercer's warehouse," she said at last. "He's preparing a shipment tomorrow night. 12 dogs, each conditioned like Ruger was supposed to be. If we don't stop him now, he'll unleash them." Reed cursed under his breath, the weight of her words settling like iron. Ruger whimpered, pawing at Rex's chest as if sensing the urgency. Rex lowered his head, meeting Reed's eyes. The old canine didn't need words. His look was enough. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was war. Reed clenched his jaw. "Then we hit Mercer first." For the first time in years, the veteran's purpose felt sharp again, and this time they wouldn't fail. At dawn, the makeshift refuge became a training ground. Rex, despite his wound, moved with focused determination. He slinked between shadows, pausing, nose twitching, then gestured for Ruger to mimic. The pup copied clumsily at first, his limp making movements uneven. But his eyes, bright, intelligent, never left Rex. Reed watched in awe. The old canine wasn't just surviving, he was teaching. Ruger practiced slipping under debris, freezing at faint noises, using his small frame to vanish where larger dogs couldn't. Rex corrected him with gentle nudges, growls softened into mentorship. Each lesson stitched them tighter. Tessa whispered, almost reverent, "He's making him a soldier." Reed shook his head. "No, a protector." Ruger's persistence burned brighter, his resilience turning into skill. The pup wasn't born of Mercer's cruelty anymore. He was becoming Luna's legacy, shaped by loyalty, sharpened by choice, and tempered by love.
That night, the moon painted the warehouse district silver. Reed crouched low behind rusted containers, checking his watch. 10:59. 3 minutes, Tessa whispered, pointing toward a blind spot where guards rotated. Ruger pressed against Rex, tail stiff, body trembling with adrenaline. The pup's eyes followed every move. At the signal, they sprinted. Ruger slipped through first, belly low to the ground, weaving like a shadow. Rex followed, his grizzled frame barely squeezing through. Reed covered them with his firearm, heart hammering as they vanished inside Mercer's compound. The air grew thick with the stench of chemicals and fear. From somewhere deep below, faint whines echoed. Dozens of dogs, caged, waiting.
Ruger froze, nose twitching as if he recognized their despair. Rex nudged him forward, steady and calm. This wasn't just infiltration, it was a rescue. And the stakes weren't measured in bullets, they were measured in lives. The service elevator clanked as it descended 2 levels underground. The doors creaked open to reveal rows of steel cages stacked against concrete walls. Dogs of every breed sat huddled inside, some trembling, some silent with empty eyes. Ruger whined, pressing closer to Rex, his tiny body vibrating with fear. The smell of bleach and narcotics burned their noses. Reed's jaw tightened, rage rising. God, he broke them. Rex moved cautiously down the corridor, nose brushing each cage, ears flat. The other dogs perked at his presence, hope flickering where none had been. Ruger pawed at a cage, licking the muzzle of a broken shepherd inside. The dog lifted its head, faint recognition shining in hollow eyes. Tessa whispered, "These are Mercer's creations. His army." Reed gripped his gun tighter. Not tonight. The kennels weren't silent anymore. Their cries had become a call for salvation.
A voice cut through the chaos, smooth, mocking. Well, well, the traitor, handler, the broken dog, and my little masterpiece. Ivan Mercer stepped from the shadows, remote in hand. His tailored suit gleamed under red emergency lights. Guards flanked him, rifles aimed. Reed leveled his gun, but Mercer's smirk widened. Luna's bloodline, perfected for me. And yet he chose you. His gaze slid to Rex. How fitting, the one dog I could never break. Rex snarled, teeth flashing. Ruger's body trembled, but his eyes locked on the remote. Mercer raised it, thumb hovering over the button. Let's see if training is stronger than sentiment. He pressed down. A piercing whine filled the air. Ruger stiffened, pupils dilating, his body jerking as instincts warred inside him. Mercer's smile was venom. Kill him. Kill Rex. The room froze, breathless, waiting for the pup's choice. Ruger's legs shook violently, his chest heaving. His gaze flicked between Mercer and Rex. For a heartbeat, his body shifted forward, a growl building in his throat, directed at Rex. Reed raised his gun, panic flashing. "No," he whispered, but then Ruger's growl deepened, twisting, snapping toward Mercer instead. With a sudden lunge, he broke free, teeth snapping at the man's leg. Mercer cursed, stumbling backward. The remote slipped from his hand, skittering across the concrete. Rex lunged, crushing it beneath his paw. Sparks hissed as circuits died. Silence thundered in the room. Ruger stood panting, teeth bared, defiance blazing in his golden eyes. Mercer's face twisted with fury. "You worthless mutt!" He roared, but it was too late. The conditioning had shattered. Ruger hadn't chosen hate, he had chosen family. And in that moment, Rex knew the pup was truly Luna's son.
Gunfire erupted. Guards unleashed chaos, bullets ricocheting through the kennel corridor. Reed dove behind a steel crate, returning fire. Tessa pulled Ruger back, shielding him with her body. Rex charged forward, ignoring the agony in his shoulder wound. He slammed into a gunman, teeth clamping down hard. The man screamed, weapon clattering. Mercer fled deeper, shouting orders. Alarms blared. Caged dogs barked wildly, their voices a chorus of fury and hope. Ruger broke free, weaving through legs, biting at straps and ankles, his tiny body darting like lightning. Reed's voice thundered, "Move, Rex!" The old shepherd limped but refused to fall. He lunged again, protecting Reed's flank. Then came the burst, smoke grenades dropping from above. Windows shattered, ropes unfurled. SWAT stormed the compound. Mercer's empire collapsed in seconds. Ruger darted back to Rex, pressing against him, guarding his side as chaos swallowed the night. Flashing lights cut through smoke. Officers swarmed, shouting commands. Mercer tried to slip away through the chaos, but Tessa blocked his path, her voice shaking. No more.
His hand darted to his pistol, but Reed was faster. One clean shot sent the weapon clattering. SWAT pinned him, wrenching his arms behind his back. Mercer sneered even as cuffs locked tight. "You think this ends with me? The world will always want weapons like them." Reed leaned down, jaw clenched. "No, the world needs protectors like him." He nodded toward Ruger, who stood at Rex's side, small but unbroken, golden eyes burning with defiance. For the first time, Mercer's mask faltered. Rage twisted into fear. As he was dragged away, the kennels roared with freed voices. Dogs barked and howled, not in despair, but in victory. Ruger pressed against Rex, the torch of hope burning bright.
Weeks later, sunlight spilled across the precinct courtyard. Officers gathered, some smiling, others wiping tears. Rex lay on a cushioned mat. His shoulder healed, but his service ended. Reed stood tall beside him, holding something gleaming, a polished badge, Rex's own, worn by decades of duty. "This badge," Reed said softly, "has seen rescues, raids, and sacrifice. It carries honor." He knelt, clipping it gently to Ruger's new collar. The pup sat perfectly still, eyes locked on Rex. For a moment, the world hushed. Rex leaned forward, nose brushing Ruger's forehead, a silent blessing. Applause broke out, officers cheering. Ruger barked once, sharp and proud. The weight of legacy had passed, not from human to human, but from one dog to another. Reed's voice cracked. "Carry it well, partner." The ceremony wasn't just about a new recruit. It was about redemption, healing, and continuity of courage. That evening, as the sun bled gold across the horizon, Rex lay on Reed's porch, gray muzzle lifted toward the breeze. His bones ached, but his heart was lighter than ever. Ruger bounded up the steps, no longer limping, his coat shining, his badge gleaming. He nuzzled against Rex, tail wagging fiercely. Reed stepped out, coffee in hand, watching the two side by side. "The future looks good," he murmured. Ruger barked, as if answering. Rex closed his eyes, the sounds of the city fading into peace. He had given everything. Scars, blood, years, and thought his story ended in failure. But tonight, watching Luna's pup carry forward the fight, Rex knew his mission was complete. Ruger wasn't just a survivor. He was proof that love was stronger than cruelty. The torch was passed, and in the quiet of dusk, Rex finally rested. Not in defeat, but in pride.